Hands, give us opening prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we are grateful to gather here this evening and work through Tocqueville city business. We ask that you would come alongside us, that you would lead us, guide us, direct us, help us to work with your wisdom, help us to make wise and prudent decisions for the city and for the residents. We are grateful to live in our beautiful little town. We are thankful for the moisture that we've been abundantly blessed with this week and coming days. We again just ask that you would be alongside us, help us to listen and contently and just be able to hear each other's points of views. And we are thankful that you are the sovereign Lord, and for your Son, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Todd. Thanks, Wayne. I'd like to recognize Matt Atkins up with us today. He's our new attorney for now. So we're in between, but he's hopefully, we know he's doing a good job. So glad to have you here with us, Matt. Stacy is not here, but we have Val here this evening. Thanks for coming in, Val. Afton is at a meeting in Cedar, something in Cedar she had to be to, so we're going to excuse her. She's always does such a good job. I think we'll be able to do without her though this evening. So we're going to move on to the approval of the agenda and disclosure of declaration of conflicts.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the order of the agenda.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any conflicts anybody needs to declare?
I have none.
All right, we're going to move on. Consent agenda, review and possible approval of meeting minutes from January 17th, 2024, regular business meeting, and February 5th, 2024, special city council meeting. You guys had time to look at those minutes and everything looked good?
That's a good read.
All right, is that a motion? Okay, I have a motion from Wayne to approve.
Second.
And
I
a
got
second from,
one comment.
yeah, go ahead, Todd. Yeah. what do we-
Just one comment on the minutes on business item number 3. We tabled the Unified Fleet Establishing Fleet Vehicle Terms and Conditions till this meeting, and I didn't see it on the agenda.
Yeah, I think they're still waiting on some
Okay.
paperwork,
All right.
so.
Just want to make sure that.
Make sure that table.
Okay. Just want to make sure that gets
Yeah.
carried over
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as soon as we get that, it'll definitely
Okay.
get on, so.
Very good.
Okay, you got that in the motion? Okay, so so let's have another motion clarifying. Todd, you want to make that there's a item and.
I mean, the minutes are fine. Yeah,
I guess
the minutes are fine.
Yeah, the minutes, yeah.
I just want to make
Okay.
sure we.
Okay. Okay, so minutes are good. Wayne made a motion, the minutes are good.
I
Wayne-
second the motion.
Oh, you seconded it? Okay, we won't take Gary's second. Any other discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're going to move on to city department reports. We're going to start off with Hurricane Valley Fire since the sewer guys aren't here. Go ahead, Merlin.
Okay, started out last month with a bang in the fire service. I think our numbers, I was looking at this total, I think we actually had a little bit more by the 31st of January, but they're showing 465 calls for our district. Had 11 calls over here in Tocqueville, ranging from outside trash fires to looks like 5 medicals.
That was an ag burn.
What was that?
That was
Yeah, it's
an
the ag burn.
That was
Yeah.
a giant ag burn.
Yes. And we had a lift assist or invalid assist, which is usually a lift assist. Somebody falls, needs help up. Then an unauthorized burning was a different one, and an authorized controlled burn that somebody actually had a burn permit, but we were still called out for it. And then one canceled prior to arrival. I would guess probably a medical, and then they canceled us. So 11 calls over this way. Should be pushing, if we keep this up, we'll be pushing 6,000 calls.
Yeah.
So
Well,
The
you're,
new Instacare is keeping us very busy.
yeah, so I was gonna say, the Instacare's added a lot of those calls.
Yeah, we average anywhere from, usually at least seven a day to sometimes 12.
Yeah.
So some of them, we take all of our patients, majority of our patients there, which cuts down on our time, which makes it nice. But then sometimes we have to turn around and take them to St. George if they're going to admit them, because we'll do a lot of, we call and kind of give them what we've got coming that way just to see if we can bypass, because legally we have to take them to the nearest facility that can treat, depending on the nature of the call. So sometimes we'll
But
get a repeat call, but
aren't a lot of those calls, the ones you're actually transporting different, they showed up themselves and a lot of them you're taking to St. George?
oh yeah,
So
majority of them are some
yeah.
that they're just walk-ins there.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then we have a contract, so for the patient doesn't get another bill from the ambulance service. The hospital now pays us a portion to take them over. So it's not like, so if you get called in there, a lot of people say, I just want to go to St. George, but you're not having to pay for that. That's another thing that the hospital has to pay once they're admitted into their facility. It's called an interfacility transport.
Yeah, and
So
which
that's
is really
good for the
nice.
patient to know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good for the patient, but it's good for the fire district because now we're actually getting paid for that.
Yeah, and the majority of the time, people can go in, get treated here, and go home, and then they're not having to come clear back from St. George. So it makes it nice. So other than that, we're just staying busy, doing a lot of training. Right now we got our guys out doing a lot of propane prop training. We've got a prop that we use, and we've got some people that come down and done some training for us. So we've had a lot of our guys going through that the last 2 days. So
Well, good.
staying busy.
You guys-
Any questions for us?
Any questions for fire district?
As always, thank you.
And we love the rain.
Yes, we do. We do. All right, we're going to planning and zoning. Val, do you want, or is Riker, are you taking, we're going to report on anything?
So on this upcoming planning commission meeting for next week, it's going to be on a Tuesday, not a Wednesday, just for everyone's information. And you're going to see a few applications on that agenda as well as the draft of the grading ordinance. Some projects that we're working on. We have Sunrise Engineering here to talk a little bit about the update to our subdivision ordinance. I don't know, Brad, if you want to speak to that a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's on the agenda, so we might as well.
It's just a report on.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Brad Robbins. I'm with Sunrise Engineering. And I'm here to talk about the general plan, but first, just a few words about the subdivision ordinance. As you may recall, about a year ago, the state legislature made some changes to the subdivision ordinance in state code. And as a result of that, it's kind of trickled down into the cities and counties in order to provide and change their subdivision ordinance to allow some of these kind of expedited measures to take place. And so what we're going to be doing in the next few months is going through your code and fixing it so that it meets state code. But generally speaking, it's supposed to be a more quicker way to do it. It's like the city council will not be approving final maps anymore. It'll be at a lower level. And so there's some things need to work through with the staff and you guys, but the process is to get this done as soon as possible. And
Do we have a time frame from the state when this is supposed to be
yes,
past that? Or
next December, what I
Next,
recall.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got a little bit of time, but the process is to get this done as soon as we can.
Yeah. Perfect. And you're going to come back up and talk to us on
Yeah.
our general plan when we
You
get to
bet.
that? Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions on the subdivision ordinance coming up? You guys, okay?
So just to provide a little bit more information on that, the Department of Workforce Services is part of that agreement with Sunrise and Tokerville, and they're providing up to $14,000 in land use planning services to amend that code, to change that code. And so that's something that we have the opportunity to do, that Sunrise is going to help us with, that Tokerville does not have to pay for. In addition to that, some other projects that we're working on include the criminalizing our code. We're currently working on drafts for those sections of the code that involve those penalties like Class B and Class C misdemeanors. Our site plan, preliminary site and final site plan ordinance. We're working on a draft for the time-limited parking section of our code. We've compiled some ordinances from surrounding municipalities and working to get a draft going on that. And then in addition to that, we're monitoring the ongoing legislative session. There's a few bills that we're tracking. And then in addition to that, a large number that the League of Cities and Towns is tracking. And I would just encourage you, if you have the opportunity, to go onto their website and just kind of skim over their legislative updates. They identify each of those bills based on their stance on it and whether they're hot bills or just bills to monitor. But there's a lot of them this year, so.
And our local rep, Joe Eagleson, is actually working on a bill for the fire district right now. We're still, since, we've been trying to figure out how to fund the fire department for quite a while. The big tax increase we turned down, and now we're, the sales tax, they wanted to add a bunch on the sales tax, and that didn't even get voted on. So now they're trying to another way. So the bill he's got written is really good. I think it's going to help the district out a whole bunch. So not just our district, but all through the state. So anyways, that's one of the bills we need to keep an eye on. All right, anything else?
And that's all, unless you have questions for me.
Anybody?
Same thing with the park ordinance.
Yes, we have a draft started on that. We're just reviewing it right now. So.
So a couple months we might, as an estimate.
Mhm.
We can get through the ones we
Yeah,
got, the big.
not that you guys aren't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you guys are enormously busy with.
But we do have a draft started on that one. So
All right, and then the definition for a tavern too, right?
yes, that one, we've got a draft mostly complete on that. I think it just needs to be reviewed by legal. So
Thank you.
Okay. Darren, you're not on here, but do you have anything for the city council?
I'm not going to take this meeting any longer than it needs to be, so I don't have anything at this time. So we're all good.
All right, thank you very much.
Learn a lesson on that, right?
I'll try and talk less.
You're good, you're good.
No.
All right, we're going to move into our public forum portion of the meeting. Anybody can come up and talk about anything that's not on the agenda. Please state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Ray Benson. I live at 370 West Shangri-La, and this is just to inform you, about an hour ago, I received a notice that the FCC had approved the license for Tokerville to receive a FM radio call sign. So Tokerville will be able to have, just like Hurricane, be able to transmit and have their own radio station. They also told me that if we don't use it, we can lose it, and that they are extremely difficult to get. And so the license does belong to the city. And so they will be monitoring that. So you may want to put a committee together or talk about what what you'd like to do for the city.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
What's our call sign?
They're going to issue one, but we can change it to KTOQ if we want, or whatever we want to do. They mentioned that also.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, anybody else have anything they want to bring up on the open forum? All right, we're going to close the public forum. We're going to go into our public hearing. Public input is sought on the Tocqueville City General Plan Amendment. So do we want, hey, go ahead, Riker.
I was just gonna say, I think that you'll want Sunrise
Yeah.
Engineering to come up after.
Yeah, this is
You
a,
want to do after?
yeah,
Oh,
we'll
okay.
get the public to, if they have any complaints or.
I was just going to do a
concerns.
little presentation, so
Okay.
I don't need to do that. It's up to you guys. And
You guys want to,
It would be okay.
Yeah.
At the beginning, if you'd like.
yeah, we can do, let's do that. Let's do that that way. If we have any questions, we can.
it'll take me 2 minutes.
Perfect.
And yeah, it'll
Perfect.
be pretty quick.
Darren gave you his 2 minutes, so.
Well, that's good. We have time then. 30 seconds. So can you? All right, so before you tonight, you have the update to your general plan, and that's occurring in 2024. As you may recall, we started this probably about a year and a half ago, and we're finally at this stage of the game. So next slide. A little bit of a recap of what a general plan is. It's basically your vision and goals for the city for the next 30 years. A general plan is just what it says. It is general in nature. And it is an advisory document according to the state of Utah. Now, it's my understanding that your planning commission wants it to be more than an advisory document, more of an official document with policies included into it that need to be followed as time goes on. And that's a great thing. A lot of cities don't do that. They go through this process, they put the thing on the shelf, it collects dust, and that's the end of it. So you guys are going in the right direction. You should update this every 5 years to take a look at it. And then it's open to revisions whenever you want to. If there's something that goes on, you should revise it the same time you change a zone if that is necessary. So with that, we'll go to the next slide. The process we followed is you have to engage the public, and that is what we did. We did a public survey in the fall of 2020. We had 2022, had 115 respondents, did have the open house. We received comments, and we collected a lot of data. And that data consists of like a land use inventory, transportation data, census data, did some utility stuff too, in order to give you a very comprehensive general plan. Next slide. Okay, what does a general plan consist of? A general plan consists of what are called elements. Elements are really nothing more than chapters or topics. For whatever reason, the planning profession likes the word element. And so you see that in planning documents. You have 7 elements before you in your general plan. The first one is land use, and that's a required element. And in yours, it talks about protecting your neighborhood and most of the growth being on the west side and then your bypass road. There's 23 goals that are recommended. There's a transportation element. This is also fairly high level, and the reason is because it's supposed to be. Again, this is general. If you really want to get into specifics of transportation, you need to do a transportation master plan. But this does touch on some areas. There's 15 goals that are provided with that. Another required element is a moderate income housing. The state mandates that you have 3 state-approved strategies to work for. Those are in your general plan. We also provided 13 goals. Historic preservation, there was a lot of public support for historic preservation. 15 goals are recommended for that. In regard to recreation, a lot of support for that too. Like trails and bike trails, 18 goals are recommended for that. Utility and public safety, again, this one is fairly general in nature. There are 26 goals recommended. We right now, Sunrise Engineering, is in the process of finalizing a water master plan, which is far more specific than you're going to see in this general plan. This just kind of sets out the generalized goals for utilities and public safety. And then finally, economic development. I mean, all of Southern Utah is kind of booming right now. Economic development's a big issue. There are 14 goals recommended as part of that process. Last slide. And then finally, as you're aware, the Planning Commission has thoroughly reviewed this document and provided several comments, which are included in this final draft. And that includes a detailed parcel-specific general plan map. I think you were talking about it before the meeting a little bit. I understand you can actually go in there and pick a parcel. It'll tell you exactly what your general plan is. There's no bubble type things going on. And then there's also the policy to follow the general plan map in there. And then finally, just to let you know, your staff has been very, very helpful in this process to get you to this point. And that includes my brief presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
That was a good presentation. I like
Hey,
that.
there you go.
Perfect. That's just how I like them.
I like them short and sweet, too.
That's awesome.
Okay. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Do you guys have any questions from, well,
Not at this time, no.
all right, the public is open to come and discuss our general plan amendment. If anybody wants to.
So Kathy Bentz, 370 West Shangri-La. And I appreciate as I looked at the map and tried to understand that, there's some things I'm not real happy about on that map, but I appreciate that there's some agricultural left in Toquerville. But one of the things that has troubled me the most coming to the meetings and watching them on YouTube is that I never see, as we're talking about this general plan, I saw so little about the survey that was taken. And it just didn't seem to be driving what you guys were talking about. And I'm sorry to the Sunrise person who's here, but I thought it was a horrible survey. I was pulled in to be on the survey committee. So I went to this meeting The meeting was very much over my head at the time. I went home and I looked at it more carefully, and I was just kind of astounded because I saw that they had doubled the number of questions from the year before, which is who wants to get a survey with 50 plus zillion questions? I saw that they were asking the same question over and over again in different areas of the survey. So it was kind of like they were fishing for an answer that would be the right one. I don't know. It was very confusing. I spent a lot of time rewriting it. I emailed it to Afton. I emailed it to people. It was ignored. I called. I went, dropped by. Nobody took and the next thing I knew, the survey was out. Sunrise sent out the survey. And the responses came and people complained because there were hardly any that came back. Well, no wonder, it was a horrible survey. And even people who were be nameless, whose spouses were on the city council, said it was a horrible survey. And so I just kind of felt like I don't know if the public was heard because of that survey. I just feel like it maybe wasn't. And I don't know that it was driving what you guys decided, but what I got from looking at the results of the survey, which are just as hard to read as the survey was to take, is that it seemed to me that people don't want tourism, which is what I suspected. They don't want a lot of development. They moved here instead of St. George because they want this place to stay quiet and do as little as possible. And for you not to change zoning and give people, if somebody has agricultural, keep it agricultural. I'm sorry, if they sell it, they bought agricultural, they sell agricultural. And that isn't what we see happening in many cases. So anyway, that is my input. I'm disappointed that the survey didn't better drive what was said for, this plan, but I do appreciate that there's some agricultural, and I know you guys are doing your best, but that's my input. Thank you.
My name is Ray Benz at 370 West Shangri-La. I met with a city councilman this past week from Apple Valley, and he told me that they had done a survey in their town, and due to what they had seen in Virgin and Laverkin and Hurricane, and that they have decided not to change any zoning for any commercial at all. That is just, they notified everybody. They want to keep their town the same way. I asked him, how did you do this? He said, well, we just did it. We just said we're not changing any zoning to benefit commercial. We want to keep our town the way it is, residential. And I thought that was a great example. They got rid of and I'm not advocating this, they got rid of their city manager. And they said, we want to keep things the way they are for us. And he said, there are some people that are not happy, but he said, but overall, the overwhelming majority of people want to keep this a residential town, meaning Apple Valley. So anyway, I thought that was something that I wanted to bring up and just share. And I'd like the city council to be aware that those things can happen. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, does anybody else want to come up all right, at this time, we're going to close our public hearing and move into our business items for this evening. Business item 1, discussing ratification on appointing Guyan Welker and Associates as interim general legal counsel for Tocqueville City. We had a special city council and appointed them already. We're just going to ratify this. Matt is here from Guyan Welker and Associates. So it's easy. Just need a motion.
Can anybody make the motion on the ratification, or does it have to be?
I think anybody can.
Who made the motion for anyone?
Yeah, that can be anybody.
Yeah. I'll make the motion to ratify our decision for the interim general counsel for Tocqueville.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, item G2, discussing ratification authorizing the circulation of an RFP for general legal counsel for Tocqueville City. So do we have that prepared? I know we've talked about getting one prepared. We're not. Is it posted? Okay, we posted yesterday? Okay, perfect. All right, so this is just for you out there, we're putting the word out. We need to hire full-time counsel. We're having people give us bids, and then we'll pick a full-time general counsel, legal counsel for the city. So this is how we have to go through it. So how long is the application open for? What do we put on, 2 weeks?
It'll be on city council's agenda on March 6th.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we've already approved to do this. We just need to ratify this. So I just need a motion.
I move that we go ahead and ratify business item G2, authorizing circulation of an RFP for general legal counsel for the city of Tocqueville.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, item G3, discuss the possible action on authorizing the mayor's signature on a contract between Tocqueville City and the state of Utah authorizing the acceptance of a $4.5 million grant for the CFP number 24 Tocqueville West offsite water tank. So if anybody's seen the cut on this west side of the new bypass road up towards almost the top of the hill, they're putting in a 2 million gallon water tank. So we got a grant from the state. So nothing better than money that doesn't come with many strings, and we just get to build a tank with it. So it's great.
You've already reviewed that?
I have reviewed it. I've issued some comments. I still want to complete a couple items based on some feedback that I may be getting. Essentially, the goal with this business item is to get the council's approval, conditional approval, that once the legal review is completed, that the mayor is authorized to execute and sign that grant contract. It's fairly straightforward. One of the items that we're looking at is trying to make in terms of the use of funds, as broad as possible. So Exhibit D to the contract defines the scope of the budget or what was proposed. That was based on the proposal, so we want to make sure the language that actually goes into the contract isn't necessarily tied to what was in the bid, but what the city's looking at moving forward with the grant contract. So with a conditional approval that once legal counsel review is completed, the mayor can sign that, then the funds would get delivered to the city from the state. And then once that happens, the next step would be finalizing the assignment from Firelight for the Still Cox contract. And we'd get that assigned over, and then the city officially is working on that water tank. And it notes here on the agenda, the water tank has been and is designated as a capital facility plan. So this is always been in the city's long-term plan. I think it was the 6 to 10 year designation, but now with the funds being available, it can check the boxes on a lot of those issues that water tank was addressing in the plan.
So Matt, you might be looking at one of the same things I am on item 3B under payment. Grantee shall submit an invoice for 90% of the contract amount to be dispersed prior to full completion of the grantee's project. That's kind of vague, because is that something that you're looking at as well?
So once this is signed, it will be submitted with that invoice. And it's just simply a one-line item invoice. It doesn't have to go through all the steps and materials, labor. It's just simply that invoice. So 90% of the contract is on the contract being submitted and that invoice. The state transfers 90%, and then that remaining 10% will be transferred once the work is completed.
So the invoice comes from the
It kind of
city.
throughout the
Yeah.
document, it looks like you submit invoices and then we'll send you a payment, you submit more invoices. And so I just wanted to make sure that wasn't necessarily the case.
No, this will just be one invoice for that 90% amount.
Okay. So that term to me just kind of said, we'll give you the money at any given time between now and then. So if that's clarified, then, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, and I know Afton has been in contact with both of the individuals that are administering this. They've been good. I know they're communicating by email. We tried to make a conference call. The gentleman wasn't available. We just got voice message, but they've been good to respond and clarify. But yes, that'll be the procedure, is submit the one invoice for the 90%.
Okay. And whatever money is remaining goes back to the state then? Is that what I'm reading in the
If there's-
contract?
Yeah, if there's any.
Yeah, the funds in the budget are pretty much in line.
Uh-huh.
So hopefully there's no cost overrun. Hopefully it'll be done within budget
Okay.
and get that taken care of. But it's for the tank. I think it's related infrastructure.
There's a pump station and some water line.
Yeah. So the city needs to look at, okay, what is it that's required for all of the infrastructure to work for this tank? And I think you can define it in the tank, the pump house, and the related infrastructure for that.
The contract period expires December 31st, 2025. That means it needs to be completed by then?
That's correct.
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years, but we'll be done like before that in 2024. So that tank will be done in full water and,
Okay.
yeah.
Won't be like the bypass?
No,
Okay.
it better not be. Don't jinx us like that. Come on, Todd.
Sorry.
Say that stuff out loud.
The city being the grantee, right?
Yeah.
Why do we have to have workman's compensation for our employees?
For our inspectors, we already do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've already got that.
And we have it all on them as far as all their legal stuff.
Yeah, they're,
We would require the subcontractors or the contractors to
Contractor.
have workers' compensation.
There's a construction management company that is,
I didn't know we had any employees of ours out there.
well, yeah, because JD will go out and inspect, make sure some of the stuff is right. The stuff that he can inspect. So,
yeah, on the things he can inspect.
yeah.
And also confirm Firelight has been in communication with Afton on this, and they've submitted, Scott can speak to it, but they've also confirmed that they're in position that if there are overruns, Firelight will address those and cover the difference, whether it's there's a backstop. In my language, they'll indemnify and hold the city harmless for any costs in excess of what the grant funds are.
Is there any reimbursement for the money that's already been spent on it?
Is there reimbursement?
Is there a clause in here that allows that to happen or allows it not to happen?
The state doesn't say anything on that particular point. That particular question and how to address that would begin as early as the assignment and working with Firelight.
I know that Afton has been talking with the state and clarified that. I wish she was here, but I believe she has an answer for you on that. You could ask.
Yeah, she's asked me that question. I've also recommended she work with the auditor on this, the auditing firm Hinton Burdick, because of the amount of the contract. It has to have an independent audit at the end. So I said, hey, you might as well reach out and visit with them in terms of any procedures or requirements. But the contract itself does not limit that option of a reimbursement for anything that's been paid towards the water tank.
Matt has his hand up.
Oh, yes. Come on up. Yeah, let's discuss this.
Also, the grant is for 4.5. The contract is for 4.7. There's probably going to be another 100 or 200 there. So Firelight's already anticipating coming up with somewhere around $200,000 to $400,000 to finish off the water tank.
How much have you guys already spent?
Probably about 5. So there'll be a minor reimbursement if we're lucky.
Gotcha.
Okay, any other questions? Nope. Okay, just need a motion.
I make a motion that we approve business item 3, authorizing the mayor's signature on a contract between Tocqueville City and the state of Utah, authorizing the acceptance of the $4.5 million grant for the Tocqueville West offside water tank.
Put in there that after legal review is complete.
Yeah, with that condition.
After legal review.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
All right, I have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion on this item? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Does this require? Oh, roll call vote. Yeah, we better. Start on your end, Joey.
Aye.
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 Okay, thanks, Chuck. All right, motion approved. All right, on to item G4, discuss the possible action on Tocqueville City General Plan Amendment. Thank you. All right, so our general plan amendment. You've got, there's a lot of pages there. Hopefully we've looked at it again and again and again. The new map is nice. Anybody? Discussions?
Go ahead. Okay, sorry. So one of our intentions was when we were putting the applicability and working toward the general plan was to somehow be a stopgap for some of the legislation that was coming from the state. Have we achieved that goal in the general plan?
Not have it be a regular, to have more regulatory than an advisory.
Thank you, yes.
Right, right.
We've worked on that through that previous ordinance.
Which we approved last
Yeah.
meeting. Okay.
Riker?
Yeah, and those policies that you can see there on page 3 also, that matches what the ordinance states.
Right. No, I understand that. I just want to make sure with like, for instance, what we heard this today earlier with this, the subdivision ordinance that's going to be coming down or is already down.
Right.
How are we gonna, is this gonna help us at all or no?
So we'll still have to comply with what the state code says, but as far as changes to like zoning and things like that, that would require someone to come in and propose an amendment to the general plan.
I know that state code is more about processes and the process procedures in subdivision ordinances. We still follow the general plan and its guidance.
Any kind of zone change still has to go through the same.
Correct,
This is just subdivisions.
It's just subdivisions. It's not a zone
And
change.
it's-
Okay.
It doesn't apply, the state mandate does not
Yeah.
apply to zone changing.
What's that, Wayne?
It's
Got it in there on.
single.
Yeah, and that mirrors
Two
our
family.
ordinance that we did last month. So,
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
No, that's great. Good question. Any other discussion?
I'm waiting for Gary.
Just to,
DC, you should have got up and asked when you had the general public hearing. You can't ask questions now, technically.
Just wonder why we don't have the right picture of our bypass in the plan.
Bypasses.
Which page? Transportation, second page of transportation.
So like 21, 22?
One more.
Page of my own.
There you go.
10.
Yeah, that's an old map.
Wrong picture.
It is.
Sorry.
No, that's good. We
I didn't
can,
bring it up because the general plan was on the agenda and you can't talk about anything that's on the agenda.
no. Once it's in the agenda, public can't discuss. That's why we had the public hearing about this item. So that's how that works. But yeah, so let's in a motion, let's make sure we get that changed if we approve this tonight. So
What's wrong with it?
that comes off the S turn, the bypass. It doesn't go all the way up to the top of by the freeway. See there where it just turns off here at Lowe's and goes around? So,
well, that's where it comes off at.
no, it's up a little higher. So it's a little higher up. It's another mile or two.
Is
So
the,
That's a 1984 map.
it is.
is the general plan going to be 2023 or 2024?
How does that, it's prepared, it's in.
It'll be the date you adopt it.
Yeah, I think it would be the adoption
It'll be
date.
Today's date.
Okay. So we'll change the opening page then also to make it 2024.
That, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if the motion is made today, it'll be today.
So we can't make it a 2023 then at all.
Perfect.
It's like it's 5 years from now to have.
Yeah,
before that
exactly,
changes. Save us some
exactly.
money.
Okay.
And how many revisions we got today?
How many?
There's one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's an easy one though. It's
Would you say that's significant?
No.
just to change a map. Yeah. What's that, Wayne?
It's not changing the plan, that's just updating the plan.
Yeah.
All right, I've got a couple of items here. First of all, for the sake of the general public here, I would just like to note that after reviewing this general plan, the top 5 items that this city chose or wanted to relay to the firm that prepared this is number 1, quiet community, number 2, open space, number 3, small town atmosphere, number 4, safe environment, and number 5, close to family and friends. Those were the top 5 items that I noted from the survey and the additional bar graphs that were noted in the city in the general plan proposed. The residents were against promoting the city as a tourist destination and also against supporting high-density development. And they were for preserving the rural character of the city. So I think that although there were some comments made that the survey wasn't as good as it could have been, I think that it got right on with respect to what the residents of this city want and what they're against. So I think they got the right message there. Now, I wanted to go through the goals that were on the city plan here. And I want to start on page 20.
I can't find these pages.
I'm not there yet.
Goals.
Okay, goal A1, pardon me, A1. I just have a note that we already have ordinances in place to accommodate the protection of open lands. So as far as a goal goes, I mean, that one's, I'm not advocating we change it. I'm just saying, I think that's already in place. On page, goal 2, on the same page, C1, include housing types that are more affordable, such as smaller lots and multifamily dwelling units for new development areas. I don't think that should be a goal.
Well, I
And
kind of agree with you, except that the state is going to make that as mandatory as soon as we hit 5,000 people.
Okay, we're a class 5 city right now, though, and we don't have to comply with this particular goal right now. And nor on number 2, enhance the standards for HOA or common space amenities. I don't think we have control over an HOA. So how can we work toward having HOAs comply with these amenity suggestions that we have? So I don't think we have controls over the HOA. We don't have controls over the developers with respect to what the prices are for lots and what the building costs are. So I just, it's nice if we can accommodate that. I don't know if that should have been a goal or not. And I don't know if the rest of the council feels the same way.
Do you want Sunrise to address your comments and questions?
I'm okay with Sunrise addressing that, yeah.
So
got
we have Daniel
Jensen.
on Zoom. I don't know if he can hear us and if he wants to speak to that.
Sure, yeah, I can speak to that. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So with regards to HOA, the HOA itself is not something that the city necessarily regulates. However, the amenity package that the development is required to have is certainly something that the city does regulate. So for example, within the Firelight subdivision, within that overlay, there are standards for what amenities are required and need to be provided. Now, the HOA is responsible for maintaining those. How they go about maintaining it, that's their business. But that those amenities are there, that certainly was required by the city. And in terms of the smaller lot goal, that was specifically created for the new development areas, like it mentions, with the thought of Firelight and the other master planned development that is being, it's going through the process right now. I don't know exactly where that's at. But the idea there is that on the Firelight side, you would have the smaller lot development like what's in the development agreement. And that alleviates the pressure on the existing neighborhoods to provide new housing. So new housing's on the west side, and the new developments, smaller lots, existing subdivisions stay the same, no change. So that's the idea there. I don't know if there was another one that was mentioned.
Well, we're kind of locked into what we have with Firelight. The question is it a goal of ours to continue with this type of smaller lot sizes, multifamily dwellings, and HOA standards? Is that something we want to continue with as we grow and continue to grow aside from what we've already been locked into with Firelight. And that's up, I guess, the council. I'm just throwing this at you.
I think that defeats our purpose of what we came up with. I mean, if we want larger lots, less density, and you're trying to impose smaller lots, which you can't control what they're going to charge for that lot anyway, it's not going to be affordable. I think it's almost defeating our goal. That's the way I read it in the book. You're trying to encourage larger lots and less density, but that's trying to
Just,
discourage.
but from a practical standpoint, how do we make larger lots and we don't have any water to support larger lots? Just a question.
Water for what on the larger lot?
Well, if you have a half acre, you're just gonna leave it weeds and dirt? I'm just curious. I'm just wondering what your vision is for the city.
Look at, well, subdivision, they're all half acres.
Yeah,
They're not using any extra water. They don't need any water. They've digital landscape.
I'm just,
Well, Firelight, we've already agreed.
Oh, yeah,
They could have
there's-
smaller lots.
yeah.
So the question is, when the residents are saying we want to maintain a rural environment and have larger lots, should we put this as a goal that we're trying to do the opposite? And that's all.
Could I chime in there? So the way that I wrote it, it says to include housing types that are more affordable, such as smaller lots, multifamily dwelling. So that just means to have them included. It doesn't exclusively do those. So this doesn't exclude the ability to have larger lots. It just says smaller lots should be included as part of the land use repertoire for the whole city.
We've already done that. Firelight's got a lot of them.
Right. So that would be a good fulfillment of that goal.
Okay, I'm just throwing that out for the council to decide if they want to change it or if they want to move forward. Also, on page 30, we have Goal 1A1, identify the desired amount and location of affordable housing. And once again, I don't know if we can control where affordable housing is going to go, or I don't know that we need to have a goal to go out and say, we want this section of the city to be affordable housing. I guess through zoning, you can do that. So is this indicating that our plan is to change zoning to the effect that we can zone for smaller lot sizes? Is that what our goal is?
I think the way that works is that you're going to have a multifamily zoning, like we would suggest multifamily zoning here. And if it met the low income portion, then, or affordable housing, I should say, then that might be a qualification. But since we don't have zoning or projected maps for affordable housing, the only thing we can put on there is multifamily. So I think that's kind of defeating itself too, in a way, but.
Yeah, so I guess there's some items in here that we're not necessarily our goals of the city to do, but they're in here as a goal.
I know the state wants us to identify that.
I know what the state wants. So, and then on goal 2, we move it A1 on goal 2. On goal 2, locate housing intended for low and moderate income wage earners for future schools, jobs, and services. And once again, we're back to low and moderate income wage earners. So we're not a level 5 city right now. And that's why I just feel like I know the state's requiring it for, as we grow, we might have to run into this, but I'm just throwing it at you guys if you feel it needs to be changed or not, or if you're content with it. Goal 2, on page 51. Let me get there. Aren't you happy we're scanning all the way through?
Daisy's quicker.
Getting there.
Okay.
Yeah, she's.
Um,
Got her.
A12. Use flexible zoning tools where appropriate to maximize the use of properties, and
Which would be an
go
NPDO.
to
Desirable commercial.
That was commercial area.
I think we should have something in there basically as a goal when it comes to the commercial side of things, that we should be identifying commercial businesses that provide goods and services to support the needs of local residents rather than tourism. So when we talk about local commercial businesses, nothing in here is referenced to supporting the local citizens here, providing services that they need in this town rather than services that are catering to tourism. So I think there should be something in here about that. I'm throwing that over to you, Sunrise.
Okay.
Can we add something?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think that'd be a good goal to add in there.
Would you like me to repeat it?
Well, identify commercial businesses that support local residents, something to that effect.
Provide goods and services to support the needs of local residences, yeah. On page 37, we have a,
Can't go backwards.
this might be my last one here. Page 37, we talk about the trails and so on, and we have there's a mention in there of Nephi's Twist. And I don't know if it's appropriate to put that in there due to the legal issues that we're dealing with, using it as a trail attraction.
It's been identified as a trail by the state and like the county, not just the
Yeah, it's
Tokerville
not just
city.
Tokerville. It's-
So it's already
Okay.
identified.
If you guys are okay with that.
Yeah, I'm
I
okay
just
with that one for
wanted
sure.
to bring that to our attention that,
Yeah, there is, I mean, we're gonna have the discussion on it. on
Yeah, it's
March
on, it's
7th,
on the,
okay,
So,
got it. So that's my opinion. So we can,
I do think the last one, we should maybe, if we're gonna, if everybody's comfortable to move forward, I think that's a really important one to put in there. The needs for the Tokerville citizens, that's a good catch on that one for sure.
okay, so how big of changes can we make without having to put this back toward the public hearing? What changes do we definitely want to add the,
Changing your goals and adding goals, I
Yeah.
think that's a significant change. I would have to defer to the attorney there.
Darren's correct. If you're changing goals and adding to that, that would require additional publication. But if it's like changing out a map or fixing some punctuation, something like that wouldn't be a substantive need.
I believe Gary is asking to remove goals from that and the first parts that he was talking about, correct?
I'm just rendering my opinion. I don't know what the rest of the council feels on that.
yeah, I'm
So-
just curious what it would take to make changes.
I think we should involve, make sure that that's one of the primary goals that we have, that we're taking care of the community with respect to public services and commercial services. So if that means it has to go back to the public, then
Do we need, if we
Just a
change
public
that
hearing.
that much, do we need to send it back to planning commission? Or can it just come back and go for a public hearing again?
No, it just come back after being noticed and for a public hearing, not back to the planning commission.
I'm fine with amending that because I think that last goal is really important and I'm open for discussion on the other ones also. So.
Wayne, what do you have?
I think that we need to, I think some of the goals doesn't align with our goal and intent of the survey. To kind of match what Tocqueville wants. It seems like some of these goals are leading away from that. He's pointed out 3 or 4 that I didn't catch, but I'm glad he pointed them out because it's not in line with what we want. I would be.
When did Tokerville acquire the fall? It used to be called Toker Falls.
The what, you're talking Twin Falls over the mountain? What are we talking about?
It says Tokerville Falls.
Those are not in Tocqueville City, and
It was Toker Falls until 2008.
it was Twin Falls until somebody put it on Google or somewhere online as Toker Falls. It was never Toker Falls. It was never been Tokerville Falls.
Hurricane Falls.
It was Laverican Twin Falls. It was never nothing to do with Tokerville. So, who knows who put it on Google? It's not nobody at the city's fault. That's just how it happened. So.
How's it referenced here?
So is anybody else thinking on the same lines as aligning the goals with what our goal intent was to create this? I don't have very many of them, but there are some of them in there that I could say could be used against you. And
Yeah, we can, if you want to redo goals, I mean, if we're going to send it back for a public hearing, we can redo some goals and add some stuff and change some stuff if that's what we're.
I like
You
what
know.
he said, and now that it was brought to my attention, I looked at some of them, but I have to admit, I was more over on the top half of this.
On
looking
the
at
zoning part or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On my interest, and I'm glad he brought that up because I want to align the town's goals with the goals set forth in this.
Matt, you said that if we do change it, it has to go back to
Yes.
planning commission?
No, it doesn't have to.
No, just noticed up for another meeting here at the city council.
For the city council, okay.
So we just need a motion to go through and change some goals and then we can have we can do that. You guys need to get those into Darren and then we can get them into Riker, sorry. And we get them to Alpha, Sunrise, and it's cuss word, sorry, Sunrise, and they can put them back into our general plan, and then we can post it, and then we could do this again in 2 weeks. I mean, if we get on it quick, but if we don't, then we're gonna be a
You need
month.
to identify, because Gary just said he was making suggestions. He didn't.
Right, so that's.
But do you want those changed?
Yeah, well, that's just what we've got to get together, and I mean, if you guys have ideas on what you want to do, I think we need to, if you individually have different ideas, we need to, study them and come up with plans, or unless you guys want to hammer it out right here tonight, go through and.
Does anybody have any more items that they want to talk besides what's already been? Do you want more time to look?
Oh, sorry.
No,
Daisy?
my strategic goals I want have been met, and I didn't have as much time as I needed. And I really like what Gary's goals are that he suggested. I think that more fits us, is what I'm saying.
Okay. Daisy, would you?
Can we just update the city council and planning commission to our current? Because right now, like Ty's still on here and Sean Huntsman.
Oh, yeah, those should all be,
So that's
that should be just kind of easy change as those things change. That shouldn't be a
That's not a
major,
significant change.
yeah, that's not a significant change.
Those are just corrections.
Yeah, corrections. So how do you want to proceed with this? Do you want to list, come back at another meeting, talk about it? You want to hammer it out now, go through them, figure out what we're doing? What do we?
I think we all need to read it again. It obviously looks like that, and come up with whatever's bothering us.
Maybe let's set a deadline to get comments back to Darren or Afton, and they can resubmit them to.
Do we want to get together and discuss them before we
Do that.
submit them?
Well, some of the items that I brought up, like I said, are just
Right.
my
Sure.
opinion, so to speak. So, I mean, if you guys want to just sit here and go through them again and just say, yeah, we want to change that, or no, that's not a big enough thing to change. That's all. And Sunrise is right here to kind of give us some guidance there if we're
We got
off
your
track.
second to last one done
Right. Add for the
for the
commercial.
commercial stuff. That's good.
The,
You want to go back to number one?
Gary, or Matt, our next level city is 5,000, right?
Yeah, there's fourth class city, I believe it's 5,000
So
citizens or more.
is there a projection when Tokerville is supposed to meet 5,000?
Depends on,
It's in here.
Is it? Did I miss it, Gary?
I'm going to default that question to Sunrise. You can find it faster than I can.
Do you have that, Daniel?
There it is there.
5 years.
Oh, it's right here, right?
That's toward the beginning somewhere.
Or
5.
page 5. Yeah, I'm on page 5. It shows 2020, we're only gonna have 1870.
That's about what we had in 2020.
So-
2024.
So by the time we reach 5,000 is how long?
It's on page 5, you say?
Long time.
A long time. So, I mean, are we
Well,
spending?
Firelight's a large development.
Yeah, Firelight, I mean, if they can do 100 homes at a time.
Depends on
Right.
the economy.
It depends on the economy. Yeah, depending on the economy. So-
Interest rates,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah.
I don't think Tokerville needs to be forced into anything for the last bloody minute.
Yeah.
For changes that we don't want. or
Well-
we don't- And then at that point, we have to adapt.
At that point, then we adapt. When we hit the number, we can change this.
I don't want to be proactive, so to speak, and make changes on speculation that we're going to get there because I want to fight it as long as I can. I want to stay, I want to live with this general plan. We put so much time putting together. I want to live it as long as we can.
Yeah, then it's supposed to be updated every 5 years. So,
And if we don't get there, we can just go through this and update it again until we're forced.
Right.
I don't like big government stepping on little government too very much.
absolutely.
Well, keep in mind that we've got this general plan is a lot stricter than most other general plans because of the ordinance that we passed on this. So I don't want to get locked into something that wouldn't be necessarily a goal for the city. I mean, these are all items we can do, but are they a goal? Or is it
Well,
something the
that
city
being
wants to
said,
do?
Gary, that's a good point because like I said, some of those could force us into that. And some with our consistency following our restrictions, we can save ourselves from some.
Mhm.
I'm not a lawyer and can determine which ones not. But
Darren, you got something?
No, I just look at this kind of as with Afton in the financial stages of this. We're pretty much used up all of that grant money that we've got. If we continue to do this, we've changed the map, we've changed these things. I'd say either you kind of need to get on and get it done as quick as we can so that we're not spending money from the Tokerville coffers. We're still using the grant money. I'm not sure. You'd have to get with Sunrise and things like that, but I'm not saying, yeah, you got to hurry and push us. No, I'm not saying that by any means, but I'm just saying, I don't know how many public hearings we've had on this at this point. I can't remember, but, and things we do need to carry on and, move forward a little bit. And I would say it's beneficial to do what you guys need to do to get what you want, definitely.
I agree, but we deserve to, we need to get it right.
Okay, so
Okay.
Gary, let's go, let's
All right,
let's
so-
hit some of these real quick.
Can we quickly decide if we want C2 on here on page 20, where we are enhancing the standards for an HOA? I don't know that should be a goal of ours. So the easiest thing to do is just take it off.
Well, I'm reading that two different ways, though. If you enhance the standards, you can make them more strict, and you can put things, if somebody comes
A
with an
good-
HOA.
A good example, and like the RV park, we have requirements for that. So that would fall under that same thing, even though it's not an HOA.
Mhm.
You still have the amenities that are required to make that, you know.
So we're not
Okay,
outlawing
so-
HOAs in the city, but right here, we can enhance those standards and enhance those
Okay.
amenities and make it even more strict.
Then we move forward. Then let's go down, let me
Take
see
the
here.
HOA out of it.
Well, what if somebody wants an HOA? You can't, I don't think that's something we can deny.
Well, but
Yeah.
you can't be dictating what they gotta have.
Also,
in the
that
HOA.
part is
No,
something
it's-
that is the general portion of the
Yeah.
general plan. It's saying generally, this is what we want to do.
Right,
This isn't something that's forcing us into a code
right.
or into anything. None of the goals in this whole package, under my understanding, are forcing us to do something. It's only the applicability portion of the zoning that we really forced ourselves into
Here
that.
again, general plan,
So,
general guiding.
Right.
you know,
guiding plan.
generally speaking, that's what we want to do. And whether it's an HOA or an RV park or an MPDO, I mean, it's the same thing, right? The amenities and having people bring nicer things in is what it's saying.
You're absolutely right. I mean, these are goals.
Yeah.
If you don't meet all the goal, you meet some of the goal, you're still fine. This is an advisory document. It's not meant to be specific in regard to the things you need to do in the town.
Now, these aren't things we are required. They're not required.
required
We have to
no.
do.
Now, there are some so-called mandates, and it gets into this conflict that you were talking about, larger lots. But you have the conflict built into this document in state code that you have to meet affordable housing requirements. And so that's what some of these goals are about. They may seem a little bit stringent, you know, to have smaller lots, but you've got to have like 3 different ways to try to get affordable housing. One of them is smaller lots. That doesn't mean you need to do them.
Yeah, we don't
It
need
just
to
says
go
it's
on
in there and
Yeah.
as a tool to use
The other thing
in
too,
case you
that
need to.
no one has a great definition on is what is affordable housing? Serious.
Yeah.
No one can tell me what it is.
Tell the developer you want them to sell.
That's
lots for
yeah.
$100,000.
At the state, they talk about moderate income, but you know,
Yeah.
it varies.
Yeah, because I mean, last meeting, we approved the ordinance for this and it says 10.7.1 purpose, the city general plan is a general plan for the community, a general guide for making land use decisions. It describes the community's physical development goals and various land uses are, where various land uses are desired. The general plan is published as a separate document from the land management code and may be obtained from the city recorder. So, I mean, it's a general plan, it's a general guide.
Yeah.
We listed the zoning applicabilities
Right.
so that that's specific, but the overall thing, like you're saying, is just a guide and it says it in
And
our
it probably
code.
looks good from the state, pulled up our general plan, that we have something stating our goal is, you know, they're not going to come down on us. Like you said, this isn't a mandatory, we have to follow these things. This is just in our, you know.
Let's say we,
paperwork.
just a clarification, let's say we added a goal, the one for the services for that. We're still in the same meeting. Can we open the public hearing back up? Because anybody that was here for the public hearing was here for that. And then we could amend that tonight or no?
Yeah, that's a good idea. In terms of the publication, if it's adding that goal in, I would say it'd still need to be published. I mean, it is a minor change, but the idea is making sure the public is aware of that if you're adding a goal.
So if we came
Well,
down
my-
to just
my-
adding that one goal.
Yeah, my thought was that
That's still
we published it tonight for the public hearing.
It's got to have a
Anybody that
24
wanted
hour.
to come and do the
there's some-
public hearing.
There's
Yeah,
some
already
legal
here.
stuff. there.
Yeah, but from the document standpoint, the public
Okay,
needs to
somebody
be,
wanted to review it and then.
yeah, for some reason they say, well, that goal, I looked through the whole thing and that goal was included, now it is, and I wanted to give comment on it. That it wasn't available through the public notice.
Process is huge. There.
Yeah, see, he gets back to this is a roadmap for you. But if you don't go down that road, at least you have the map that tells you how to go down that road, especially in the case of affordable housing. And that's why there's some of these goals in here that kind of don't make sense, so to speak, based on what your community is right now.
Yeah.
But in the future, it provides you a way to get there. And I think that's what the state is looking for in these type of things. So.
You had
Yeah.
to pick the goals, Gary. You had to pick the goals.
Well, Gary's the kind of guy that sets a goal and he hits every one of them every year. So I'm not quite that good. So
He's the
I've still got 20 pounds I'm trying to shed, but you know.
And I understand the discussion here.
Yeah.
And my main point is I think we missed an important goal that should be added to it. And that is to make sure the commercial development that is out there is going to cater to the local residents. So we don't have to go to Hurricane and Laverton next door to do what we need to do.
Completely understood.
You know,
Yeah.
You know, and I'm looking at a local dentist, maybe emergency care doctors, you know.
But then it comes down to,
A Rite Aid or some type of a drugstore. We got a retirement community going in there. Those are things that we need. And that, we miss that on here. And we just, and
Sure.
one simple goal added to it would cover it.
Yes, yeah, I understand that.
restaurants,
Yeah, restaurants are fine.
I'd love to use steak
They'll
in
cater
town
to
and not
both.
have to go somewhere else.
Yeah, the restaurants
Other
will
than my
cater to
own,
both.
but that comes down to, you know, we can put in the goals, but we can't make Rite Aid.
And
No, I know that.
We can promote and we can help.
they're in your zoning ordinances as well. Those are permitted uses, conditional uses.
Right.
So,
Goals are somewhat of a land use, aren't they?
it's just it's kind of a,
They are.
Yeah.
How do you gotta remember the general plan and the zoning shall conform to one another, shall. So we have to conform with our.
on the
consistency
zoning,
policy.
on the zoning.
On
Yep.
zoning.
Yeah.
On the zoning.
If a goal affects zoning, it's,
Well, I don't
which
think
you
I-
could, because you're asking for multiple smaller lots
Right.
now, and there's not in that zone. You're gonna try to change that, and then guys like Wayne Olson are gonna come along and gonna butt heads against that.
And that's
Because
what,
that conflict.
But the zoning ordinance will take precedence over a goal.
This goal is not, the
So
goal
I
is
feel
not,
comfortable enough that the zoning ordinance would control that.
yeah, for sure. 5 and 6 on there, Wayne, I think would do it.
Could I chime in real quick?
yes, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. So one of the goals we didn't mention, I think might address what you're wanting to get at. I liked the wording that the council member brought up earlier for the economic development goal. But in economic development goal 1C1, so that main goal is focus efforts on areas with high leakage to increase tax revenue. And then goal 1, reduce overall leakage through commercial growth. So there's that analysis in there about what sectors have leakage. Those are sectors where residents within Tokerville are purchasing some service or some good, and they're doing it outside of the community because there's insufficient commercial of that, commercial presence within the city boundaries. So that gets to this idea that there's the doctor's office, the Rite Aid or whatever that people are needing to go to, the grocery store that people need to go to. And instead of shopping inside of Tokerville, they're going down to Laverton or St. George. And we want to move that into the city. So that is that goal right there. Now, that's definitely technical jargon where what the council member said earlier, I think is a little bit more clear to the public that we're focusing on commercial intended for local residents as opposed to reduce leakage, which, yeah, is jargon laden for sure.
So can we modify, and we put leakage and then in parentheses, put the other words and not have to repost?
Yeah, could we just reword it? It's the same idea.
No, we're trying to get this done.
No leakage?
I like leakage. I hate our money leaking out to other cities, which has been doing since, day one, but yeah.
That was a good point, Sunrise.
Yeah. Okay, so now where are we at? We know we have an anti-leakage goal in here, so. Okay, where else
Ready for
what are we
motion?
thinking?
We changed that one, right?
We can't
No.
change. If we change, we have to change, we have to go back and do, but the leakage is covering the one that Gary brought up.
Okay.
C1 covers.
Yeah.
Thank heavens for leakage.
So, yep. Okay, so what's our ideas here? What are we doing? Need a motion to do one thing or the other?
I just think we're really close. I think we gotta be there.
I think if we needed to, we should make an amendment or something, because, we're going to revisit it a few times in the next couple of years, I'm sure. And I think it's covered enough, and it's pretty well detailed.
It's really detailed. It's a
So,
good plan.
If I was to make a motion, I would make a motion to approve the general plan with the changing of the map and the changing the name of the council members and planning commission members.
And the date?
Sure.
And I'll probably second that.
Okay.
That's my motion.
That sounds like a motion and a second. All right, any other discussions on this item? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
So we have.
Nay, I should
Okay,
say.
that's fine. Well, you can aye on the opposed.
Yeah.
Okay, so motion carries 4-1. All right, item G5, discuss the possible action on ordinance 2024, water efficiency landscaping and conservation standards, amending and restating Tocqueville City Code 10-21-5 to conform with Washington County Water Conservancy District water efficiency standards. Okay, we went over this last city council meeting. Darren?
Just so you know, to refresh your mind, this was tabled with some minor changes. Those changes have been made before you. It's very, it parallels the water efficiency standards by the district. And we also have Doug here tonight to talk about Councilman Sands had a little question about, I forgot the words now.
Rehabilitation.
Rehabilitation.
Yeah.
He can clarify that, and there is some little bit of a change if you'd like to make those additional changes. We did make the other changes in reference to the irrigation that Councilman Campbell had
Yeah, because,
in there.
yes, and because Councilman Campbell's motion was also to get clarification on what rehabilitation meant.
It was.
So, yeah, great.
I have Doug.
Yeah,
Good evening again. How are you?
good to see you again.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm Doug Bennett. I'm the conservation manager for the Washington County Water Conservancy District. I regret I wasn't at your last meeting to be able to answer your questions. I had a conflict between two jurisdictions, but I did watch the video, and I especially appreciate that your jurisdiction puts those videos up and makes your meetings accessible. It was really helpful for me to understand the context. Where we use the term rehabilitation, all the district is looking for is that if somebody was subject to this ordinance and then they demolished whatever it was and were redesigning it, that it would be built to the same standard, right? There is also the question of potential redevelopment. So yes, if somebody were to say, I want to tear down this residential home and build a CVS or whatever, a drugstore, then yes, we would consider that to be subject to the new policy and that they would have to comply with that policy. So there's no expectation that, I think some of the conversation was, if I put an addition on my home and I have to go get a permit from the building department, am I now subject to these landscape standards? No, we wouldn't consider that to be rehabilitation of the property or redevelopment of that property, presuming it was the same original zoning and use. Any rebuilding, getting a permit to add a story to a home, anything like that, we wouldn't be looking for this.
Okay, so theoretically, if I wanted to take out a zero landscape and put in all grass, that wouldn't subject me to this.
Not if that property was previously developed prior to the adoption of this ordinance.
Okay.
Are we the last holdout city?
You are not the
No,
last.
we're close. We're close.
We started this in November, and I'm happy to say we do have 6 jurisdictions that have done it ahead of you, but surprisingly, the city of St. George will be the last to consider this.
So,
They have their
and-
planning commission on the 13th of this month.
And this is something we need to help with some of our residents here would like to do the rebate program, the buyback on the grass, and we can't do any of that. They can't do that until we pass this ordinance. So.
Can you tell us why we did this as an ordinance instead of a resolution?
No, that would be at the discretion of the city.
It is an ordinance because it's in our landscape. It's our landscaping ordinances. We just included their efficiency standards
Into our landscaping.
ordinance.
Didn't St. George just try to adopt it as a resolution and?
Well, that's what I was originally told, and that's one of the things that delayed it. And then they discovered that, no, it has to go through the planning commission. It has to be integrated into their ordinances. So I will tell you that every other jurisdiction is integrated into their ordinance. And it also seems that's probably the easiest way for some people in the development community to discover what those requirements are.
I think it, like you said, Mayor, I think it does good for our residents that want to get the rebate, and it also protects our residents who just may want to change things up on their landscape and not be subjected to it. So.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, if it rained like this twice a week, every week, we wouldn't even have to worry about water.
Yes.
So we could willy-nilly whatever we want, but it doesn't. So anyways, yes. So I need a motion.
So I'll make a motion that we approve business item 5, water efficiency landscape conservation standards, and amending and restating Tocqueville City Code 1021-5 to conform to the water district efficiency standards.
Okay. A motion and a second. Any further discussion on this item?
Just one quick note, I was looking at the draft of the ordinance and it has ordinance 2023-XX. I just want to make sure everybody understood the ordinance is going to be ordinance 2024-
Okay.
and finish.
And
Change
something else to add is, while this is an ordinance format, it has yet to be reviewed by legal. And so staff would just request that that be a condition.
Okay, so I'll amend it pending
Legal review.
legal review.
Noted.
Okay, I still have a second. Chuck, you're still good? Yep. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
I'm going to miss you guys.
You still see me every now and then,
Thank you.
so. All right, thank you. And you don't have to stay if you don't want to, but you're more than welcome to stay. All right, item 6, discussion on de-annexing the roadway leading to Toker Falls. So, the county has asked me if we would de-annex part of that road so they can try to maintain and upkeep it a little better. I told them that we have a bunch of Springs Road that we don't even own yet. It's not even dedicated to Tocqueville City. So that's stuff we need to work through before we even, if we de-annex it. And they just, Victor called and said, hey, I said, well, you can't just de-annex things. It takes time. We have to do a lot of stuff to just, so just a discussion item. What's your opinions? What's your thoughts?
Is there boundaries, like if
Yeah, where
they've
they
set it, or like where do they want to try to, where do they?
They want to go just above the flat. They'd like us to keep the flat, their possible parking staging area in Tocqueville City, then everything beyond that. So how far do we go up there, Darren? We go,
Well, you'd be right there by where just beyond the water tank.
yeah,
Where we,
Right.
I didn't have the conversation.
okay. I'm not sure where Tocqueville City goes up a long way.
Yeah, it goes up about halfway up there.
It goes, the road meanders back and forth about on the line of Tocqueville City and Washington County.
So they're asking us to de-annex like a 50-foot right of way through it?
I don't know how that would work.
Because that's a crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
There would need to be maps and actually legal descriptions of those sections, of the created, that type of thing. But I don't know what your discussion was.
Well, that's all they asked. Say, hey, would you de-annex the road so we can maintain it? I said, well, I don't know what that takes and what it means, but I'll bring it up to city council. So.
You do have to realize, like Mayor was saying, we have residents that live along that we have, the road's one lane at best. There's parts of that road that we do not own that has not been deeded to Tocqueville City. There's a few issues we have down on the lower part with our citizens.
where are we? Here's the water tower.
Yeah.
right?
So according to Victor, would like to have us keep the parking, the county commissioner, so we could kind of maybe put a fee to park or something if the city ever wanted. That would still be in the city. I think that's BLM land now. It's just in the city. But the road, I mean, there's no way we're going to maintain the road. We don't have the money. We don't gain anything having people go up to the falls. We don't. It
Or
doesn't.
just write an MOU for giving them access to maintain whatever they want.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
That'd be super
So,
easy and not have
Once
to go
they,
through. all
once they
that.
maintain though, then you throw more and more traffic on the people on Springs Road into town.
Exactly. That's been my complaint.
We've already turned down grants because they wanted improvement. We just
Right.
said no.
We said no because
I would never be in favor of improving that.
so.
Yeah, other towns, municipalities will do maintenance agreements with Washington County. Maybe that's something you could look at.
I think that'd be a better way to go just for future, long-term future is that we'd have to re-annex if we had a subdivision
Right.
or something pop up because they're not going
to maintain our road
I
if
think
we.
it's going to be a lot worse to re-annex it in the future than to de-annex. So
Yeah.
that would be my suggestion.
I just told them I would bring it to city council and we could discuss it.
Once again, it goes back to if that road gets to the point where it's a lot easier for people to get up there, then Springs Drive is going to have more traffic.
More and more.
And until we figure
and
out
so-
Springs Drive, I don't think we should.
What is it doing for the community? What is it doing for the city?
Nothing good.
Yeah.
Just puts pressure on us.
We could only time travel.
Wayne said he was going to figure out Springs Drive, so that's good.
Wayne's figuring that one out?
Wayne said-
Nice. Thanks, Wayne.
Close it right there at the water tank.
Oh, you mean right at the stop sign?
That's good.
All right, so I can, we're not making this, can't make a decision on this. There's no decision to make. I can go back to the county and say, we're not interested.
Well, let's look at a maintenance agreement if they want to and or something, but I think it would, because it's a long ways. That's like 4 or 5 miles, probably 4 miles of de-annexation.
Yeah.
And we just don't know what the future is going to bring for that either.
Okay. All right. Any more discussion on this?
It's kind of like the southern border.
Yeah. We don't want to talk about that.
Build the wall.
All right. Item G7, discussion on Nephi's Twist. We have that trail. That trail has been in Tocqueville City before Tocqueville. I mean, that trail's been around a long time. Wayne probably remembers driving a covered wagon on it, coming down from Pocketville before Virgin was Virgin. But it's been there a long time. It's closed off. Our developer over there in TRE, they're kind of fighting us on that. Darren, do you want to talk about this?
Well, I think Afton was going to speak to it mostly.
Okay.
Just to give you general terms. I know that the county is, and UDOT and a few other ones are advocating for trails and master plan trails throughout communities. This is one of those that we need to demonstrate that as we create a master trails plan, we've got a few things that we're trying to do beyond the general plan amendment. We do need to update our trails master plans, and I believe there's funding tied to this that we could possibly get to help us, such as Nephi's Twist Trail, other trails that are coming on. Just today, I spoke with some of the UDOT people talking about the trail that we have in our along Tocqueville Parkway and what that could be, and the new encouragement that basically the governor Cox his office is now advocating for more trails, different places, things such as that. And I believe that's why this is one of the things I thought I was hoping. Basically she was not able to be here tonight. I'm sure that next meeting she will be able to elaborate and give you more information on that.
Lynn, I'm going to pick on Lynn for a minute. Lynn, do you want to come up to the podium real quick?
Oh, you're in trouble.
He's me or Lynn?
I don't know.
'Cause I don't want to be in trouble with Lynn.
We're determined then.
So
we're
Lynn come
determined
over
that.
the other day and talked to me. He's got the latest or the last development agreement with TRE. And he read in there somewhere to me that we could put trails in it that at any point in time, they can say that they're a private trail. And
That is
cut us
correct.
off.
According to this agreement, which hasn't been followed very closely, by the way, they declare at each phase what trails are going to be developed. And at that time, they declare whether they're going to be private or public. If they're public, they will turn the organization.
Which
and the-
agreement is this?
This is the latest.
This is the master plan for Trail Ridge
Is it
development.
the,
agreement.
it was the development agreement, the master development agreement?
Yes.
Okay.
What year? Because there's been so many different that I've been researching too.
Latest, right?
Okay, you want the year of this one? This is the most recent one. Entered into this 19th day of March 2013.
Okay.
And that theoretically is the most recent one. I stand corrected if that's not. the case.
2013, right?
Yeah.
2013.
Okay.
The, anyway, as I was saying, they can declare it private or public. And if they declare it public, City of Tokerville makes rules, regulations, centered. If they declare it private, then it will be turned over to their homeowners association. And I'll pretty much guarantee you, if it turns over to them, it's going to take a three-legged mule to even get access to it. The current people in charge of that subdivision over there are obviously anti-ATV. Evidently, they're also anti-open space and anti-trail in general. Their original plan shows by map what trails are supposed to go in with what phases. I had legal counsel here right in this room tell me they will put those trails in when those phases come up. Nephi's Twist is in phase 1. Show you how good we're doing. This has been in play for 10 years. They have not done one trail in 10 years. Give you a hint on how many they plan on doing. So
Park right now.
There is the paved trail around the park.
we put that in, the city did. They didn't.
Okay. Agree,
Yeah,
disagree.
so they, in my opinion, have done nothing. Now, in exchange for doing nothing, we have agreed to put them in a park and a trail and maintain it forever. So I'm not sure the mutual give-take with this master plan community theory that we're working on.
Okay, thank you for the insight.
Okay,
All right, so about a year and a half ago, TRE came in for a subdivision phase, the next phase, and we actually denied them at the time until they had Nephi's Twist open. So, and we have not seen any movement on that. This is something maybe when we have,
It's been over 2 years because
Has it been
I
2
was not
years?
here. I was
Okay.
not working here yet.
no, it's been, you remember that, Merlin? So we did that. Gary, you remember?
Absolutely. I'm the one that kind of brought it up.
Yeah, exactly. So this is something we need to work on. We need to look at legal possibly and find out what we can do. I know Heath looked at it a couple of years ago. I'm not remembering. Gary, you remember what he?
Even a
What
year
came
ago, he thought he had a way to solve it
Yeah.
and nothing came
And
back.
nothing has come up. And I know we've had about 10 million other major problems between TRE and we've had the bypass road. We've had all sorts of stuff kind of pull us away. But this is something I'd like to work on. Lynn, one more thing real quick.
yeah, one thing that I am concerned about also in this agreement, it says that that main road through Trail Ridge will never be blocked, gated, obstructed in any manner. They got a good lock gate at both ends of the subdivision.
Okay. All right. So we need to, just a discussion. Do you guys think we should have legal look into this?
What's the advantages of having that trail open?
People can get up the trail and go all the way up to basically Virgin.
Yeah, but that's not what they're doing. They're going and coming out at Jones Ranch up Twin Falls. They totally destroyed all that area through there because they made a trail down through the river. And I'm not against trails or anything like that, but that's a little bit abusive in my opinion. So that trail leads, it has some advantages because it is nice to be able to get it, but then it does have some disadvantages of what it ruined.
You're talking Rattlesnake Gulch that goes to the falls, is that?
Yeah, that's not an authorized trail. That they've just trumped that to death and made that a trail.
Well, the one from the top up by the big S turn on highway.
You're talking from the shooting range to the falls?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's nice to be able to, I've tried to go up Nephi's Twist to go to the shooting range and I've been kicked out of there every time.
Yeah.
Especially the people in Chola Creek.
Yeah.
We used to have a little, down to the, to the little water and that was not good, but I enjoy going up there, but I don't enjoy what got tore up going the other way. But so it's kind of a double-edged sword to me.
Okay.
I
So,
suspect maybe they'll close that at some point because of the devastation and
yeah, so we live in TRE, we live in Mesa Views. We bought from the builder, the developer. This was originally came before the council. I'm not sure if it came before this, but this came before the council August 17th of 22. And Councilman, we were in the audience for this. Councilman Bringhurst gave a little history of why it was closed off. Because there was noise disturbances, there was nuisance, there was trash, there was illegal dumping, and that forced the developer to lock the area initially. So when the council and the mayor had discussions back then, there was no discussion on proactively how the city was going to police that area if it got back open. So that was one concern. Another question that Council Bringhurst stated was historically the area was used for walking, hiking, mountain biking, horseback riding. And there was no answer whether that was historically for motorized vehicles or not. So I don't know if that question was ever
it
answered.
came later because
So,
we didn't
okay.
have motorized vehicles.
Yeah.
back then.
Well, yeah, and I'm not sure.
Back to the covered
Yeah, I'm
wagon.
not going back that far.
Yeah.
So, and then another issue was, which we just got done talking about, was Spring Drive and the issues with everybody going up Spring Drive and parking and stuff. How would that be affected on Grand Canyon Parkway if we were to open that up at the bottom there?
Where would you stage it?
And then I know one of the other things, when the mayor was councilman, he was going to discuss this with Washington County. And I'm not sure whatever
Yeah, the county has it on their map.
Right.
The trail, and they would like to see a trail all the way, all the towns and cities. So this would go up to the trail and bring it all the way out of Zion, the tie Toker.
Yeah, I know where.
Plus the one that comes down into Laverne. And so that's what they would love to see, the county would.
Yeah. And is it a OHV going to be trail, or is it, that's one of the questions. I mean,
Right.
I'm very familiar with the trail. I hike it on a regular basis, so I'm very familiar with it all the way up and down.
And we did discuss at that meeting about putting a gate in and some bollards and
Sure.
and keep people from driving their RVs back there and camping. You know, we
Right.
did talk about, trying to help police that as a city.
Yep.
But we never got anywhere.
Yeah, and then two other points, and I think, Lynn, that one of the points you were talking about is as far as if I am reading the development agreement also like you did, that access way that's locked off right now that goes through Interstate Rock was supposed to be open.
For emergencies.
Well, it's supposed to be open, but it also, if I read that correctly, if I remember correctly, it was also supposed to be open for pedestrian traffic. So I understand the liabilities of going through Interstate Rock and what
Yeah.
that might be. But I also disagree with some of the stuff I've heard from Interstate Rock is that, well, it's a security issue and we need to keep it closed off. But that's a moot point to me because the other end in Laverkin is wide open 24/7. So that's kind of
With all due respect, they made the agreement.
yes, I know they did.
Because they don't like the color of the shorts you're wearing, they say, okay, no.
Yes.
We're changing the agreement.
I understand that the agreement was between the developer and Interstate Rock and not the city.
Right.
So, and that is an issue because right now, right now TRE is what, 60 homes? Mesa Views is 38. So we're way over our 20 for having 2 exits, right? And whatever happened with,
I've got it written down to go check this out.
So
yeah, so.
yeah, we talked with John.
Well, I talked to your inspector the other day, and I mean, he's gonna go up and put a fire department lock on it. But we had that discussion.
Isn't some of the reason it got rejected is for the alternate exit?
I know we're the ones on the top. but
Last time?
I'm assuming where it goes into the pit.
Here.
I was told that that's an emergency lock that the emergency vehicles have a key to. I personally went to Hurricane Fire Department and asked them about that, And the guy says, we don't have any keys, don't know anything about.
Yeah,
law.
no, Lynn,
We just push the gate down, it's in our way.
yeah, yeah, I know. That's what, I talked to,
Okay,
I
yeah.
All these fancy.
I think we were supposed to.
yeah.
Nephi's-
The other day, I
Right.
talked, the other
Talk
day.
about Nephi's twist here, and
Yeah.
I think we're getting.
Okay, well, the other day Darren and I talked with John Poster, and he's gonna go and put a fire department lock on it.
My concern is where's, you said there's 2 locks, where's the other lock? I mean, the one that's up by Nephi's Twisted.
Right, one-
Oh, that goes nowhere.
There's-
Yeah, that one's not.
Yeah.
That's nothing for us.
No.
Well, but then the other thing I want to bring up is, because we're talking about Nephi's Twist, and there's another access to it if you take the chain off, that is at the end of Grand Canyon Parkway, that is the right of way to go up to the water tower. So you can access Nephi's Twist that way also, but you're going through the private property again. So that gate is both that chain is both the developer and the city access, is my understanding. So not only are we talking about Nephi's Twist, but it also ties into the whole general area
Right.
there and what we're gonna do. So, but to get back here, we have not addressed the developer's concerns with,
We're right. But yeah.
so.
But we shouldn't have to develop their concerns. They're the one that
Well,
made the agreement, it's up to them to figure out a way of keeping the agreement.
I understand that, but also the residents that are around there that are affected by the trash, are affected by the noise, the traffic, the disturbance, the parties, the things like that, the bonfire, campfires. So somewhere there has to be a give and take. of
Right,
what's
yeah, that
happening.
we need to, if we fenced it properly.
So to get the Nephi's Twist, you gotta come up the Grand Canyon Highway?
You can get to it right here where it's locked right here.
Yes.
Or you can come up this way, and this is the road that goes up to the water tower, but you can go right here and then you can cut right here. And this will take you right to Nephi's Twist. and
But
Bar.
we're still talking of coming through the subdivision.
You're still coming, yeah, same thing with Springs Drive.
Well,
But then you're also, but this is the city
right,
easement or what have you. So, but it also goes through the private property of the developer. So
yeah.
you got to weigh all that stuff out. And I know that this has been a discussion that Darren's been working with. I know Darren's been working with it. I know Heath was aware of it at the time.
Yeah.
And again, there wasn't any decision and there wasn't any plan made out yet.
Well, so really talking about Nephi's Twist more
Right.
so than future development
Right.
and different things such as that.
Well,
I think the intent of this discussion item was to talk about the trails, and definitely if we start going outside that scope, I
okay.
have to ask.
All right. At some
On
point, we need to discuss two accesses out of TRE and maybe Merlin. I mean, Merlin, is it an emergency exit or Darren, you can answer that. Is it an emergency exit for just the fire department access or is it an emergency exit in case the residents need to get out?
I would need to have Mac read that.
What's the answer, Merlin? I didn't hear.
Well, it's for both.
It's for both. So that right now,
If something that stops that bridge goes out,
Yeah.
you gotta have a way out.
right now, if there's a catastrophic incident in that area, then there's no way for,
West Village Road.
yeah, there's no way for them to get out. So,
Okay,
It's actually better than this.
so,
Yeah, as I'm looking at the map, you've got the main road in Zions Parkway. It's paved, but the fire code requires an all-weather, and there's a distance requirement, so it may depend on what subdivision went in and at what time, and evaluate it that way. But you have to have an all-weather. Think of like a dirt road with road base, certain width. And I'm not familiar with the area, but at least I'm looking at the map, like what Daisy has pulled up here. If you come down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon Parkway, there seems to be a dirt road, but not necessarily a dedicated right of way for the city or public to have that. It just dead ends as you come down the bottom of the parkway and it goes east. You're just not going anywhere. So that's a fair question for the Hurricane Valley Fire to look at in terms of compliance there for the access.
and the other problem is that where Grand Canyon Parkway ends on the south end, it turns into Lavercan.
yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah, we got.
You've got to change
City,
the boundary.
city.
yeah,
Going to
it's right here.
The
Yeah.
first original contract was supposed to have that road out
Correct,
and a weather service.
correct, correct,
With a gate,
correct.
but emergency access is what it's for, but I don't know if it was ever done or not.
No, it's not.
Okay. All right, well, we're going to continue working on Nephi's Twist. So we're going to figure out how to get these trails. I think trails are important. I think there's a way we can open the trails and then keep everybody happy. You know, like I've said, we can fence both sides so nobody can get off the trail and park and party and camp back there, just a trailhead, and that's all there is. So that's just something we have to discuss and figure out how to do that.
We gotta discuss the impact on the neighborhood that we want to run that trail through.
Right.
Yeah.
We had that big fight with Firelight. There's everybody over there to go to Tocqueville Falls, where are they coming through? A couple roads here. So we need to address that somehow. I don't know if there's an alternative route around that doesn't have to disturb these people or.
Right. Well, so but now we're getting way back into the weeds.
Yeah.
This subdivision originally was designed and presented as a RV or a ATV friendly subdivision where people could access all the trails from their homes. That's what this development was originally designed and built for. And that's how it was sold to the city. That's how it was sold to everybody. This was an ATV. Darren, is my correct? So this was originally, and then somebody bought the subdivision or the developer for somebody else and said, we don't want to do that anymore. That's what it's come down to. We don't want the trails anymore, but the original agreement says the trails will stay open, and that's how it was originally sold to the city.
Can we find that? Is there any agreement?
We have that development agreement, but we have a new one that that supersedes that. Yeah. So
By the same owner?
the original owner, but we have a new owner now.
You can supersede
So-
the first one then?
That's what I asked Heath last time.
Duping all the first
Right.
time residents.
And that's the question I come up with is how can we have a new development agreement that gets rid of some of the original agreements on the first agreement with the first developer? So,
Do you have different owners?
yes, there is now.
That's
There's
a
different
problem.
owners.
Yeah.
So the owners now are not the original owners of the development.
They bought that agreement.
Yeah. Okay, so we beat Nephi's twist almost to death.
Once we figure out what we want to do,
Thank you.
by then we'll have permanent council already
Right,
hired.
exactly.
And we can at least give them what our goal and objective is that we would like them to work on.
All right, let's go through our calendar of events. We have a community readiness meeting Thursday, February 8th, which is tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock here in the City Hall. State of the City, we're having an event at Springs Event Center at 6 p.m. The public is welcome to that. I guess I have to give a little address plus a few other things. We're gonna have lots of information out on what's going on in the city so everybody can come and see what developments, how the bypass road's coming, how the water tank, there's a lot of stuff that's gonna be presented at the State of the City. And yes, trails too, yes, thanks Chuck. Budget strategy session Tuesday, March 5th, Springs Event Center, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're gonna work on our budget for the year, which starts in July 1, but we have to get working on it. Lots of things. We have to have public hearing for that. Item 4, spring community cleanup. We will have our dumpsters in town on Friday, March 15th through Monday, March 18th. We have our community Easter egg hunt Saturday, March 30th at Center Street Park, 10 a.m. Our spring social Wednesday, April 24th at Center Street Park, 6 p.m. The 4th of July celebration is, of course, on the 4th of July at 7:30 a.m. So, and we invite everybody out to these socials and these events we have coming up. Does anybody else have anything we need to discuss?
Is the Easter egg hunt a city or church?
That's city.
City, okay.
Yep, that's a city. Yep. Okay, if not, no need for a closed session.
I'll make a motion. Nope.
I do have, I can address, I don't need to, but I could address some short items in terms of ongoing issues related to property, potential acquisition, but that's entirely up to you.
Okay, you guys,
That's fine.
Let's
we
do
do it in
that.
10 minutes?
I can be done in 5 if you want.
Okay,
Depends on me.
okay. Let's, I need a motion.
Hold on, I'll get this up. I'll make a motion to go into a closed session for the strategy discussion for the purchase of exchange of lease or real property, including any form of water right or water shares. That cover it?
Okay, I have a motion. All right, we are going to move into a closed session. You guys can't stay for that one. We appreciate you coming out. So It is 7:49. I'll get the recorder in a second.
I know the developer.
So as you do this.